Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Ako pong muli si Pastor Bong, bumabati na isang mapagpalang Tuesday morning sa ating lahat. The book that we're going to study today, mga kapatid, is the book of 1 Kings. The book of 1 Kings. Like the two books of Samuel, the two books of Kings originally were one in the Hebrew Bible. Hindi po ito magkahiwalay. In the Hebrew Bible, this is only one book. And the original Hebrew title of the book of Kings was Melechim. Melechim. Yan ang original na title ng book of Kings. Okay? One book, which called the Book of Kings, and in the Hebrew title, it was Melechim. M-E-L-E-C-H-I-M. Yan ang original na pangalan ng Book of Kings. Ang ibig sabihin nun, the Hebrew word, the English translation of that is Kings. Melechim in Hebrew means kings in English. Again, the Hebrew Bible or the Septuagint artificially divided the book. Hinati na naman ito. Okay? Divided the book in the middle of the story of Ahaziah. Okay? And it called the book of Samuel, First and Second Kingdoms. And the book of Kings, Third and Fourth Kingdoms. Hinati nila ito. Okay? Meron tinatawag na First and Second Kingdoms. And then merong Third and Fourth Kingdoms. So, it may have divided these books in this way because the text in Greek, alam nyo kung bakit humaba? Okay? Kung bakit humaba, may First and Second, may Third and Fourth. Kasi yung text sa Greek, okay, mas maraming wordings ang Greek kaysa sa Hebrew. Actually, merong word sa Hebrew na dalawang word in English. And there is one word in Hebrew which sometimes 3 or 4 words in English. So same thing. The translation in Greek, mga kapatid, it requires a greater amount of scroll space. Ibig sabihin, yung ginagamit nila noon, nung panahon na yun, habang may sinusulat sila, lalo na when they're compiling the Septuagint or the Hebrew Bible, which consists of the apocryphs, yung mga hindi binless na salita. Okay? Hindi binless ni Lord yung mga sharing of thoughts na yon. They included there in the Septuagint or the Hebrew Bible. Ngayon, humaba ito because in Greek translation, mga kapatid, mas maraming wordings and they required a great amount of scroll space. Kaya ginawa nila, hinati nila ito. First and Second Kingdom and Third and Fourth Kingdom. The first half of 1 Kings, mga kapatid, it traces the life of Solomon. Yung unang part, yung unang hati, yung First and Second Kingdoms, ang pinag-uusapan dito yung buhay ni Solomon under his leadership. Why? Because Israel rises to the peak of her size, of their power and their glory. Nung panahon ni Solomon, under the leadership of Solomon, ang Israelites, mga kapatid, their size became tremendous. Lumaki ang Israel. Hindi lang lumaki ang Israel, they became powerful. They became rich. Grabe. Their power, their glory, because of the leadership of Solomon. Tindi, no? Yung father niya, who prepared the nation of Israel, a mighty warrior, David, and the nation of Israel was inherited by his son Solomon, who were in his younger days, asked the Lord. The angel of the Lord asked him, anong gusto mo? Anong gusto mong ibigay ko sa iyo? And he asked the Lord to give him wisdom to rule the nation of Israel. So, kung babalikan natin, under the leadership of Moses, under the leadership of Joshua, and after Joshua, under the leadership of Judges, which is the fall of Israel, dahil nagkanya-kanya sila. And then here you go, the last judge was Prophet Samuel, and then escalating onto the kingship of Saul, pass on to David, pass on to Solomon. Pero yung time na yun, yung timeline na yun, ito yung pinaka-peak talaga ng Israel under the leadership of Solomon. Bakit? May wisdom si Solomon. Economically, strategically, because he relied to God. So the first half of 1 Kings talks about the life of Solomon under his leadership. And you will see Solomon's great accomplishments, including what? The construction of the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. Hindi birong temple yung pinagawa ni Solomon. The temple that he built, mga kapatid, it brings him a worldwide fame and respect. So, ibig sabihin, obviously, nung panahon ni Solomon, nung ipinagawa niya yung Solomon's Temple, mga kapatid, that was truly the Israel's golden age. Kumbaga, yan yung kasikatan ng Israel. But sadly, Solomon's zeal, o yung tinatawag nating passion sa Panginoon, diminishes in his later years. Parang ganito yan. Walang pinagkaiba sa atin. Yung kainitan natin sa ministry, and then pinagpala ni Lord ang buhay natin, lahat ng accomplishments natin, binigay sa atin ng Panginoon, blessing after blessing, then what happened? Nawala sa Panginoon. Unti-unti. Una, nawala sa prayer meeting. Pangalawa, nawala sa Bible study. And later on, bihira mo nang makita sa church. Solomon diminishes his passion, his commitment, his devotion to the Lord. And as pagan, mga kapatid, alam niyo kung bakit? Kasi sa dami ng asawa ni Solomon, meron siyang mga asawa na pagan, mga pagano. And that influences Solomon to turn his heart away from worshiping the Lord in His holy temple. Ibig sabihin, may nag-impluensya sa kanya. And that's true. Bad company corrupts good character. And that is even true in our generation. Nung wala pang asawa, nakikita mo napakasipag sa Panginoon. Pero nung nagkaasawa, nag-iba ang takbo ng buhay. Hindi mo na makita para sa Panginoon. Bakit? Na-impluensyahan. Huwag na asawa. Kaibigan. Mula nung maging kaibigan, nakita mo yung changes sa kanya. May mga tao talagang ganun. May mga taong vulnerable. May mga tao na hindi nila kayang dalhin kung ano man yung kanilang na-achieve sa buhay. And they are being swallowed by their fame. And as a result, ano nangyari kay Solomon? The king with a divided heart leaves behind a divided kingdom. Sabi ko sa inyo, disobedient to God, turning your back away from God, will lead you to a disaster. Ano man ang pinaghirapan mo, it will affect everything in your life if you turn away from God. And the book of 1 Kings will show you how it manifested. The book of 1 Kings records what happens over the next century, mga kapatid, because the two sets of kings and two nations of disobedient people who grow increasingly indifferent to God's prophets and law. Biro mo, reigning glory, reigning golden times of Israel. Pero nung nagsimula sa hari yung divided heart, and turned away from God, the nation follows. Sumunod na kaagad. Isipin mo kung ikaw ay isang parent that once you were so active in the church, starts with the father, starts with the mother, lost their appetite in reading the Bible, lost their appetite in attending the prayer meeting, the Bible study. Mga kapatid, it could happen to us. It could happen to us. Mangyayari sa atin yun. Look at the life of King Solomon. All the provision of the Lord was given to them. The wisdom, the wealth, the blessings, the favor has been showered upon them. But the moment that their king became disobedient and lost his compassion, his passion to God, ano nangyari? People became disobedient as well. And their disobedience grew increasingly to God's prophets and law. Sabi ni Tito Manny, during the temple building, it did not rain in the daytime for 7 years, but in the night, only that workmen would not be obstructed. Yes, that's true. Nakita niyo yung favor ni Lord? During the construction of the temple, hindi umuulan sa araw para tuloy-tuloy yung paggawa. Umuulan lang sa gabi kasi wala nang gumagawa. Okay. What can we learn about this? The theme of the book of 1 Kings that we should learn as well sa buhay natin. Okay, ito ang pinag-uusapan sa book of 1 Kings. Faithfulness to God must remain as an individual and a kingdom's first priority. Sabi sa New Testament in Matthew 6:33, seek first the kingdom of God. And all these things, seek His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Unahin mo palagi si Lord. Maging faithful ka sa Kanya. Your faithfulness to God must remain as an individual, and your kingdom of the Lord should be your first priority. Okay, tingnan ninyo ha. While King Solomon and the people of Israel remained faithful to their God, the Lord blessed them. And the Lord caused their kingdom to grow in power, to grow in wealth, and to grow in respect. Imagine, worldwide ang fame ni Solomon. Even many nations, they are so amazed, they are so ang tawag dito, they believe and they admire the wisdom of Solomon. Kasi yung Israel napakayaman na bansa noong panahon na yun. They are so powerful that time. But when Solomon and the people turned away from God, their once great kingdom destroyed, tore itself, and later fell to what? Corrupt conquerors. Ano nangyari sa Jerusalem? What happened? Leaving Jerusalem in ruins, and its people became weak in brutal captivity in a foreign land. Lahat ng pinaghirapan nila nawala. Nasira. Why? For one very, very reason. They turned away from God. The fall of Solomon affects the people of Israel. And it affects the whole nation of Israel. Tayong mga magulang, make sure that you are faithful to God. Wag na wag kayong tatalikod sa Panginoon. Once you decided to follow Jesus, no turning back. Hanggang sa huli ang buhay natin. Hanggang sa huli yung hininga natin, kapatid. Magsaserve ako kay Lord. I will continue to be faithful with God. No matter what happens, because I know that everything with me, everything that I have achieved in life, galing kay Lord. Yung wisdom na binibigay ni Lord sa atin. That is why you were able to manage your family well. That is why you were able to manage your business well. You were able to fulfill your work every day. That is because the wisdom of God is in you. Binibigyan ka ni Lord ng wisdom. Not only that God is giving you wisdom or mental capability, but God is giving you physical capability as well. It does not come from your own strength, but it is always comes from the Lord. O sabi nung kapatid natin, si Jonathan, pag nawala ang fire ng pagsaserve sa Lord, it's a domino effect ng pagpapalo sa iyo ng Lord. So nandiyan ka na, nagsaserve ka na. Ano nangyari sa kanya? He was influenced by his pagan wife. I mean, wives. 1,000 ang asawa nito ni Solomon. Sa dami na yon, may bumubulong sa kanya, may nag-i-influence sa kanya, nadala siya ng kasikatan niya. Ano nangyari? Naging self-complacent si Solomon. Nawala na yung fire, yung passion niya sa kanyang pagdidevotion. Sinong author ng book of 1 Kings? Honestly, if you will study, biblically, theologically, unknown ang sumulat ng book of 1 Kings. No one knows the author of 1 and 2 Kings. But some commentators, they have suggested na ang writer daw nito, ang author nito, I'm not saying that they are legit, but some commentators, Bible scholars, they said, ang sumulat daw ng 1 and 2 Kings is Ezra or Ezekiel and or Jeremiah as possible authors, but they are not sure. So, kailan to sinulat? What is the timeline of the book of 1 and 2 Kings? The book begins at the close of the magnificent reign of King David. Okay? Nag-umpisa yan nung patapos na yung leadership ni King David. And the ascension of his son Solomon to the throne. Pinalitan niya na si King David, yung tatay niya. Around 970 BC. Okay? So, it records Solomon's compromises and falling away from God. Yeah, ito yung nakasulat dyan, mga kapatid. And what happens to the nation of Israel? They have a civil war. Nagkaroon ng civil war ang bayan ng Israel. So, yung civil war na yan, it divided the nation of Israel into the northern kingdom at yung southern kingdom. Okay? Yung northern kingdom, yun yung Israel. Yung southern kingdom, yun yung Judah. Proximity, probably around 930 BC. So, 1 Kings closes with the ministry of the prophet Elijah. And altogether, the two books of Kings, mga kapatid, yung 1st and 2nd book of Kings, it covers almost 4 centuries of Israel's history. 4 century. Yung 1st and 2nd book of Kings. Pag pinagsama mo yan, yung istorya niyan, 400 years yan, mga kapatid, na kasaysayan ng bayang Israel. Anong structure ngayon itong Book of Kings na ito para maintindihan natin? The structure of the Book of 1st and 2nd Kings, it is the historical narrative records of Solomon's reign. Pag sinabing historical narrative, compiled yan during that time na ni-record, dinocument yung kanilang experience, yung kanilang nakita, yung kanilang mga nakalap na information. Documented. Yun yung historical narrative records. No? Starting yun nga, yung ascension to the throne ni Solomon. Following, mababasa nyo rin dyan kung yung death ni David. At mababasa nyo rin sa 1st and 2nd Kings kung paano namatay si Solomon. Okay? Then moving on to record, the decline and the fall of the once great kingdom. Yung reign ni Solomon, chapter 1 to 11. Yung kwento ni Solomon. Ngayon, kung babasahin mo yung chapter 12 to 22, it talks about the death of David, the death of Solomon, at yung pagbagsak ng bayang Israel. As you read 1 Kings, mga kapatid, like what we are talking right now, we're discussing about 1 Kings. I want you to watch, to see several life principles that plays an important role in this book. Ito na yung life principle ng book of 1 Kings. Okay? I-ready nyo na yung inyong mga ballpen at saka yung mga papel ninyo. Ang life principle na matututunan natin dito sa book of 1 Kings. Okay? Application na to sa buhay natin. Number 1 is, peace with God is the fruit of oneness with Him. Peace with God. Okay, pag sinabi mong peace with God, yung covenant mo sa Panginoon, yung devotion mo sa Panginoon, yung pamumuhay mo based on what the Lord wants you to live, obedience to God, ang tawag dyan, peace with God. Kasi hindi ka sumusuway. You obey God. You don't disobey God. Kaya meron kang peace with God. Peace with God is the fruit of oneness with Him. Yung pakikiisa mo sa will ni Lord sa buhay mo. Yung pagsunod mo as you obey the voice of the Lord in your life. That you put Him first, that you always be faithful to God, you will experience that peace with God. At wala nang hihigit pa sa kapayapaan na meron tayo sa Panginoon. The peace that this world cannot give is the peace with God. The peace that transcends all understanding is the peace with God. Pag sinabi mong transcends all understanding, kahit na nagkakagulo ang paligid mo, may kapayapaan ka sa puso mo. Kahit pa sabihin mong nawalan ka ng trabaho, kahit pa sabihin mo na namumroblema ka sa pamilya mo, but if you are one with God, you have that peace from God that He will take care of you. Hindi ka na kasimangot, hindi ka nag-aaburido, hindi ka nagagalit, because you have that peace with God in you. Because you know that God will take care of you because you are obedient to God. Because you know that God will take care of you because you listen to His word. You know that God will take care of you and God is giving you peace because He rules your life. You put Him first in your life. Yan ang isang life principle na matutunan natin dito. If you will read the book of 1 Kings, read it in chapter 4. Yan yun. Peace with God is the fruit of oneness with Him. So pangalawang life principles na nakita ko dito, mga kapatid, is in chapter 8. 1 Kings chapter 8. Ano yun? I'm sure may nakikita kayo nito mga quotes na to. Which obviously a life principle in the book of 1 Kings. Ano yun? We stand tallest and strongest on our knees. Na pag iniluluhod natin sa Panginoon Diyos, pag iniluluhod natin sa Panginoon Diyos ang lahat, doon tayo tumatangkad, doon tayo lumalaki, doon tayo tumataas, at hindi tayo nahihigitan ng problema, ng pagsubok ng challenges ng buhay. That as we stand tallest and strongest, if we kneel down to God. Yan ang pangalawang life principles. 1 Kings chapter 8. Kapatid, I'll tell you this. No matter how big that circumstances in your life right now, no matter how strong the enemy is controlling you and trying to defeat you right now in your life, if you kneel down to God, iluhod mo sa Panginoon, makikita mo kung paano makikita ang sarili mo na mas malaki ang Panginoon mo. Greater is He that is in me than he that is in this world. Iluhod mo kay Lord. Iluhod mo kay Lord. So we stand tallest and strongest on our knees. Number 3 that I saw in this life principle in the book of 1 Kings. Tandaan nyo mga kapatid. Disappointments in life are unavoided. Hindi talaga may iwasan ang discouragement, ang disappointment. But I'll tell you this, discouragement is a choice. Discouragement is a choice. Disappointments are unavoided, but discouragement is a choice. Madi-disappoint ka sa nangyari. Nag-put up ka ng ganitong bagay, may pinag-pray ka, may ginawa kang something in your life, and na-disappoint ka. Hindi talaga maiiwasan. Madi-disappoint ka sa asawa mo, sa anak mo, sa trabaho mo, sa ministry mo, sa kasama mo sa prayer group, sa kasama mo sa Bible study. Madi-disappoint ka talaga. It is unavoided. Pero ito yan eh. You will choose. Either you will be discouraged or you will continue to trust in the Lord. So yan pangatlong life lesson. Disappointments are unavoided, but discouragement is a choice. Maraming tao pag na-discourage, nawawala na, nasisira na, hindi na makita. Nagwawala. If you choose to be discouraged, it's up to you. But for me, for us, choose to continue serving and trusting God in your life. Pang-apat na dapat nating matutunan na life principle in the book of 1 Kings. Alam ba ninyo na dadating kayo sa buhay ninyo? Dadating kayo sa buhay ninyo that you will experience brokenness in your life. Not until you are broken into pieces, God can never use you mightily for His glory. Kailangan tayong biyakin ng Panginoon Diyos. We need to go through that brokenness. So, pang-apat na life lesson natin sa book of 1 Kings, brokenness is God's requirement for maximum usefulness. 1 Kings chapter 11. Diyan nyo matututunan yan. Yung disappointments sa chapter 8. Not until you are broken into pieces. Hanggat hindi dinudurog, binabasag sa iyo yung pride, yung yabang, yung self-sustaining na attitude mo, yung tingin mo napakagaling mo na, babasagin ni Lord sa iyo yan. Para magkaroon ka ng submission, ng humility, feeling mo alam mo lahat, feeling mo yung idea mo lang ang maganda, feeling mo yung sarili mo lang ang tama, kaya kinokorek mo lahat. Akala mo yung isip mo lang ang matalino, ikaw lang ang higher than everybody. Ibi-break ka ni Lord talaga. Brokenness, requirement ni Lord yan para mas lalo kanyang gamitin. Do you agree with that? Do you agree with that? That last part? Do you believe in that? That God will tear you, that God will break you into pieces so that He can use you mightily for His glory? Babasagin ka talaga ni Lord. At ito maganda. Pag basag na pasag ka na, pag durug na durug ka na, sabi ni Lord, I will form you. I will make you into a new creation. You will be formed by the potter's hands. At pag binuo ka uli ni Lord, that's the time na gagamitin ka niya. Di ba narinig nyo sa akin ito? Ano lagi ko sinasabi? Ito, gagamitin nyo rin life principle ito. Those times na maraming naninira sa akin, inuungkat nila yung buhay ko. Sinisiraan nila ako here, there, social media, kahit saan. Alam mo, sabi ko sa kanila, I just give them a smile. Alam niyo, sabi ko, sabihin niyo rin to sa mga taong naninira sa inyo. Hindi niyo na ako kailangan sirain. Matagal na akong sira. Binuo lang ako ng kamay ng Panginoon. Matagal na tayong sira. Binuo lang tayo ng pag-ibig. Binuo lang tayo ng grace ni Lord. And that should be a lesson to us. So the book of 1 Kings breaks into two parts. The first 11 chapters are about Solomon, and the last 11 chapters are about the kings who followed him. Yung dalawang kings sa south at saka sa north, land of Israel. So under Solomon, obviously, a recap, the nation reached its golden age. The nation benefited from the wisdom that God has given to Solomon. And the people, they traveled far and wide to hear his teachings. Biro nyo, pinupuntahan pa siya ng mga galing sa malalayong bansa para lang marinig yung wisdom ni Solomon. O Solomon, ano ang input mo dito sa bagay na to? And Solomon will share his wisdom. Ituturo ni Solomon kung ano ang pagkakaintindi niya sa mga bagay na yun. And that is a godly wisdom na binigay niya kay Solomon. People will travel no matter how far it is, just to hear the teaching of Solomon. And for many years, his kingdom was at peace. That's true. The wealth of the nations flowed into Jerusalem. So ibig sabihin, alam niyo ba na yung wisdom ni Solomon exceeded a high IQ? Ibig sabihin yung IQ ni Solomon way higher than any higher IQs, mga kapatid. Why? Because it was a God-given wisdom in response to the request that Solomon asked to the Lord when he was a young man. He asked God to give him an understanding heart. He asked God to know good and evil. Pero ang tanong, kay Solomon lang ba binibigay yung understanding na yon? No. If you look your Bible to James chapter 1 verse 5, ano sabi dito sa New Testament? If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God. Because God gives to all liberally and without reproach, and it will be given to him. You ask wisdom from the Lord. The same wisdom that God has given to Solomon can be given unto you. Gusto mo tumaas ang value ng buhay mo? Gusto mo magkaroon ng wisdom? Para pag tinatanong ka, yung sagot mo may sense. Di basahin mo yung Bible mo. So that people, every time they will ask you, you will answer a sensible answer. You will give thought to people, just like Solomon. Pag binasa niyo ang book of 1 Kings, people will come to Solomon, itatanong nila kay Solomon kung ano yung kanyang perspective. But when Solomon delivered his answer, they are all amazed. Grabe yung tao na to. Ibang klase ang wisdom nitong taon to. Gusto mong paano pagpapalain yung business mo? You ask wisdom from God. You read His Word. Gusto mo maging maayos yung marriage mo? You ask wisdom from God. You read His Word. How to become a better parent? You ask wisdom from God. You read His Word. Same wisdom. Let him ask of God. Huwag kang magtanong sa best friend mo. Huwag kang magtanong doon sa expert sa bagay na yun. You ask wisdom from God. And He will give it to you generously. We can be wiser We can be wise as Solomon because we serve a king who is greater than Solomon. Ang pinaglilingkuran natin, hindi si Solomon. Yung hari ng mga hari, hari ni Solomon. So, though Solomon's wisdom brought times of prosperity to Jerusalem, it also brought danger to Solomon's own heart. Kasi naging masyado siyang confident sa sarili niya. He became too self-aware, he became too excited, self-sustaining, and he grew cold to the voice of the Lord, na hindi niya na pinakikinggan si Lord. Kasi matalino ako eh. Same like many of us. Yung pastor na yan, ni hindi nga magaling mag-English yan, mas magaling pa ako mag-English, bakit ako makikinig sa kanya? Yung pastor na yan. Dito ako makikinig sa mga talaga mga dekalibreng mga mangangaral. I trust my own interpretation rather than to listen to that pastor. It's important to pray each day if we need wisdom. God teaches us morning by morning. And we learn much in times of uncertainty. Pag may pagsubok tayo sa buhay, marami tayong natututunan. Mga life's lesson. But we also need guidance for our journey to be prospered so that we don't make a shipwreck of our faith. Para hindi babagsak. Kahit tayo pinagpapala na ng Panginoon sa buhay natin, huwag nating kalilimutan to stay humble in the presence of God. Kaya yung may journey tayo na binibless na ni Lord yung ating buhay, huwag makakalimot sa Panginoon. Always put God first. Remember kung saan ang galing yung mga nare-receive mo na o-obtain mo. Church, ang prayer natin dapat araw-araw is, Lord, give us the wisdom day by day. Lord, may I speak wisely at all times and walk wisely in all ways. Dapat ganyan ang prayer natin. Lord, yung lalabas sa bibig ko will encourage people that I will speak wisely, hindi puro kalokohan. Hindi puro panlalait, hindi puro paninira ang lumalabas sa bibig. Pag sinabi mong, you speak wisely, you speak the truth, you speak power through the Word of God, through the wisdom of the Lord that He is giving you. At yung paglakad natin sa araw-araw, we walk wisely in all ways. Na hindi tayo padalos-dalos. Na hindi tayo suntok sa buwan pag naglakad. Pag may ginawa tayo, may pinlano tayo, make sure that you surrendered it to God, you consult God. Yan ang wise walking. You walk with the Lord. So anong challenge? Ano ang theme ng Book of Solomon? Okay, ito na, as we end. Okay? As we end, the key theme for the book of 1 Kings, mga kapatid. Always be careful. Let us always be cautious in times of prosperity. Let us always be careful. Let us always be cautious in times of challenges. Never put down your guard, your defense. And you always allow your spiritual passion to grow deeper and burn brighter. Yung spiritual passion mo kay Lord, wag mong hayaang mawala dahil binless ka na niya. Maraming taong ganyan. Nung natanggap na lahat ng blessing, yung masarap na ang buhay nila, ang unang-unang kinalimutan si Lord. Pero nung may problema, Lord, Lord, Lord. So ibig sabihin, pag may problema, lumapit, mag-devotion, mas lalong lumapit sa Panginoon, at pagka tayo nakatawid na sa problema, at pag tayo pinagpapala na ng Panginoon, mas lalong lumapit, mas lalong mag-devotion, mas lalong lumakad sa Panginoon. Huwag magbabago. Yung spiritual passion natin should grow and should not diminish. Yan ang theme ng 1 Kings. So anong challenge sa atin ngayon? What is our challenge in the book of 1 Kings? When facing crucial moments in your life, ask God for discernment and ask God the wisdom to know what to do. Make it a practice sa buhay natin to trust Him even when you cannot understand His leading. Mga kapatid, dahil yung understanding natin is imperfect, but the understanding and the Lord is so wise in all His ways. Kahit sabihin mo pa na imposibleng mangyari yung nililid sa'yo ni Lord, sumunod ka lang. Lahat ng mga crucial decision natin, surrender it to God and ask God for discernment and wisdom before you decide. Ano ang key verse natin sa book of 1 Kings? The key verse for us in the book of 1 Kings is 1 Kings chapter 3, verse 9. 1 Kings chapter 3, verse 9. Therefore, give to your servant an understanding heart to judge your people, that I may discern between good and evil. For who is able to judge this great people of yours? Therefore, give to your servant an understanding heart, that we may discern between good and evil. Church, if there's wisdom that you want in your life, ask God. Discernment is very, very crucial, important to each and every one of us. In every decisions that we make, pag si Lord ang nag-lead sa atin, you will never go wrong. Yung ating pangunawa, limitado yan. Pero yung pangunawa ni Lord, unlimited. I hope and pray na marami tayong natutunan sa book of 1 Kings. Ako pong muli si Pastor Bong, bumabati na isang mapagpalang Tuesday morning sa ating lahat. Laging tatandaan, commit to God in all ways, in everything of your life. Put Him first. Never ever grow cold to the Lord, but always keep a heart that has a burning fire and passion to God. At huwag niyong kakalimutan, mga kapatid, we are blessed by God. I love you all with the love of the Lord. Ingat-ingat po kayo.